Hello everybody, welcome to the first episode of the MMO Junkies Chatcast. It's a new MMORPG chatcast that will go over a ton of different topics regarding some of our favorite and least favorite MMORPGs. So I don't know about you guys, but I'm super pumped. We're going to give you our opinions and our thoughts based on all the MMORPGs that we've played and that we are playing. I am your host, Swipper, aka Greg. And joining me today is Captnchunk, Johnny Clash, and Troit. Say what's up, guys.
Hey, what's up, guys? I'm Troit, by the way. My name's Troit TV.
Captnchunk, right here.
There used to be a guy when I raided WoW that would say he'd come into every raid, even if you did it 4 times a week, and go, "This is my name. Hear my voice. Memorize my voice." And he was very autistic.
So what are you
This
trying
is
to
Johnny
say?
Clash.
But it worked.
Remember my voice.
Yeah, it works.
I remember him. Remember my voice.
But what's up, guys? I'm excited for this.
Hell yeah. Oh yeah. So before we get to our main topic, what makes a good MMORPG? Tell me, guys, what the heck are you playing right now? What the heck are you doing? What games are you looking forward to? And give us some history of, your gaming history so everyone can know who y'all are.
Who goes first, Greg? Mediator.
You know what? Go ahead, Johnny Clash. It's up to you, man.
So, I'm elderly. I'm 39 years old, so I've been playing MMOs since the first graphical one, Ultima Online. Loved it. Was terrible at it. I even played on dial-up, which when you PvP, I don't know if anyone
Sounds
even
terrible.
experienced that. Yeah, I don't know if you guys have probably never experienced it.
I started on dial-up, all right? AOL.com,
All right.
baby. You know what I'm talking about.
I never gamed on dial-up, but I had it.
See, I was like the tail end of that. I was young enough where I remember.
How are you the tail end? You're 15 years younger than me. The tail end.
Okay, at
Were
least
you
in my
3 years
household,
old?
man. I don't know. I'm just saying.
You were gaming since you were 3 on dial-up. Cool.
Oh yeah.
Damn straight, man.
So I don't think many people are gonna know what UO is, but it was good PvP. That's pretty much all it was. It was very D&D based, and then I didn't play anything else till Final Fantasy XIV, which is all PvE. They added shit, but it never worked out. Can I say
Say
never?
whatever you want, man.
Okay. And then WoW, of course. 2005
Ooh,
played vanilla. Played WoW every expansion. Hated most of them. Lich King.
Yo. Hey,
Almost
just hate.
hated
I don't-
everyone since Lich King.
Don't badmouth my game now.
And now I think one of the reasons we're doing this chatcast, as we're going to call it, is because it's desperation mode lately. I think the past 9-10 months, WoW has failed everyone. MMOs have just been garbage. Nothing new is coming out. No one's breaking down any walls, and people are going back to old games. I've tried like every goddamn game out there that I've played.
Dude,
in the
you and me
past
both.
year.
Dude, you and me both, man.
Yeah. 14, yeah, I played for 3 months.
Right now.
14 is number 1, but in a time of peril. So it's like
It's
only
not hard to
one,
be
I
number
think.
1.
Right. It's very easy right now to be number 1.
Yeah.
But I love 14. So I love MMOs. I always need an MMO to play. I think that's why we're calling this MMO Junkies.
Hence the Junkies.
We all desperately need it. We try to play RPGs and we always quit and come back together and play something.
There's nothing, man. Right now, it's
There's nothing. All right, I'm good.
I'm loving 14.
Go ahead, Nick. Go ahead, Captnchunk, man.
All right, so really my gaming experience starts with tabletop. So I did a lot of like D&D and Warhammer, and I didn't really come to MMOs until World of Warcraft. So that's like kind of the MMO I cut my teeth on. I did the open beta in 2004. I've been playing that, was playing that pretty much ever since. Played every expansion. Didn't stick with every expansion. So, like for example, I quit Classic a couple times, came back, quit Burning Crusade, so on. And really, that's been the main MMO that I've had for pretty much ever. I've tried other things like Rift. I really like WildStar for a little bit. Played Warhammer Online only because I had friends playing it, because I'm not really a PvPer at all. Love the rating in WoW. And now I'm playing Final Fantasy XIV, and I think it's excellent, as you can tell. The new expansion just came out, Shadowbringers. Story is fantastic so far. I'm excited to get to max level, do the dungeons, check out the raids when they come out in about a month or so, well, at least for the Savage mode. And I think we said there's nothing really good out, but I think Final Fantasy is doing pretty much everything right now, for me anyway.
Oh,
That's good.
hells yes. All right, Troy,
good.
man, go for it.
What's up? My name's Troit. Kind of the odd man out in this group. Everyone here seems to love Final Fantasy XIV, and you'll hear my points on it later. We'll get into that. But I started off with Pokemon. That was my first game that I can actually remember in elementary school.
Wait, what Pokemon? What Pokemon? What color?
Red version. Red's my favorite color. Come on.
The MMO Pokemon, whatever that was.
But that really got me into gaming. And then eventually my first MMO ever was RuneScape. I remember playing that in middle school, starting
damn. RuneScape.
Old school RuneScape, of course, not that new one that they came with. Loved it, dude. I would blow my friends off to play RuneScape all day. My friends make fun of me. They walked in my house one time because I wasn't answering the phone. They saw me with Cheetos and RuneScape. I was just a stereotypical fucking an addict of video games. Started WoW late BC. It drew me in right away. Oh my god, love WoW. Still played it this day. I'm not happy with retail, but there's nothing better in my eyes at the moment, so that's what I play.
Excellent, man. Excellent. So I will finish up here. My first game, MMO, was Guild Wars 1. And the reason why I played Guild Wars 1 was because first I didn't have a job and it didn't have a subscription fee. So this was one of the first games.
You didn't get a job till you're about 30.
Well, yeah, true, man. I lived with my parents for so
time.
long, and dude, you know how it is, man. You played almost all these MMOs I'm going to talk about with me.
Yeah.
So from Guild Wars 1, eventually, I think I did get a job or use my parents' credit card. I don't really remember, man. But I played WoW, and that game just completely overtook me, man. I absolutely loved it. It wasn't lobby based like Guild Wars 1, so WoW I have to blame. Is always going to always kept me into MMOs. And I've tried so many after that point, like Rift, Aeon, Warhammer, ESO, Guild Wars 2, City of Heroes. I could go on a long list. But currently what I'm doing right now is Final Fantasy XIV Shadowbringers. It's an awesome expansion. I'm actually paying attention to the story. I usually don't pay attention to stories in games. So yeah, I know, right? Crazy shit, dude. Crazy shit.
Yeah, that's weird, man.
And the one game I am looking forward to is Camelot Unchained. That game, no release date. It's still NDA, so it's got some time. So I'm gonna just enjoy Final Fantasy XIV, and then maybe when Classic WoW comes out, we'll see. I don't know. We'll see. I don't know.
Come on, you know you want to.
But so I mean that's basically my history. And that's a good segue into some of the topics we wanted to talk about today. So the one topic I think we all agreed upon was what makes a good MMO and what makes a bad MMO. So kind of sticking with the order, Johnny Clash, if you want to go ahead, man.
Okay. So I think the way we talked about this is I'm gonna go over what I'm currently playing, and why I think it makes a good MMO.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
So I actually have some stuff to say before this, like a preamble, that I've sort of learned over the years of playing games. I think that the designers of a game, they're all professionals. There's huge teams. They pick the best of the best with these huge companies. And I think originally they do an amazing job. But it's all tailored to them and tailored to certain groups of people. That's how MMOs started. Very specific groups of people. And then as they widen and try to get more people in, they ruin them. And they also, since Fallout 3 ending and what's the other, Mass Effect 3?
Yeah, Mass Effect 3.
Yeah.
People complained and both those endings were changed. And I don't like that. That's like buying a Mercedes-Benz and as the driver, the person that bought it being like, I'd like the exhaust to come out the passenger side door. It's just, it's dumb.
That's good.
So I think these people, we need to trust them. they can't all. No, we shouldn't all have a voice in it. That's what I'm saying. We really should. I mean, there's options you can have in game, but it's very controlled. I think since we've got away from that, and mainly WoW started catering to everyone, as Nico or Captnchunk talks about. When you give everyone access to all the content, no matter how much they play, it doesn't make it. It means nothing anymore. It really does. So that's one of my big things. I like stuff in game to mean something. Everything. If I play Final Fantasy XI and I'm on a classic server, so it's a free server, and I'm not going to say the name, but it's got about 1,500 people, and it's very difficult. From level 1, you can die to just going out to XP on a mob, and I love that. Every decision matters, and there are consequences. You lose experience, things like that. And I think there's a bit of nostalgia in there. I played it back in the day, back in 2004 when it released for the United States. And I didn't know what I was doing either. Like, this was one of my first games I had to learn. I had to research. I had to communicate with people, and that's big too. So this game's so difficult. You're forced to party after level 10 or level 12, and the max level is 75. It forces you to play with people. You can solo, but it's very difficult, and not many people do it. It rewards you heavily. It doesn't give you a choice there again. You have to play with people, which is great. You have to interact with the community. You have to ask people questions. You have to get a good guild or link shell. It's not your choice. I think we all have talked about this, and we have other friends that aren't in here that we always take the easy way out. We'll always do whatever's quickest to get us certain content. We'll always play with just real life friends or solo if we can. So I like games that force you to get out of that.
Yeah, what is it? The path of least resistance, huh?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. So games used to be that way. It was hard, and only certain people got to certain content, and only people that put the time in and were creative and brilliant got to do certain things, and that's great. I love that. I hate LFG. I think that's the single biggest thing that ruined MMOs is a looking for group where you just click a button and you're automatically paired with people to run a dungeon.
It takes a social aspect out of it.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Games were great when you had to shout in a city to do something. You may shout for an hour, whatever. That's because when you get it, it's more rewarding.
And then you see like that one tank that you know his name and he's good because he has a reputation.
Exactly. You're like, I want that person again. I'll friend you.
In fact, like going in and finding people that you know are good speeds up the process. So you are against
Yes.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like learn who people are.
Right, and that's like the next thing, your reputation in a game. And I don't mean grinding a rep with NPCs and WoW to get a certain weapon or to unlock something. I mean reputation of the players. You represent whatever you want to RP as in a game. You can be yourself, whatever.
Yeah.
But that's who you are. In a game, I'm Johnny Clash. If I'm terrible at the game, people are gonna be like, he sucks, don't invite him. If I'm
Which
a
happens
jerk to
often,
someone,
right?
Yeah, which happens all the time. It's happening right now. And if I am an asshole, they're gonna be like, that guy's a dick. Don't talk to him.
Like he's a ninja looter or something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Which used to happen in WoW.
Yeah, all the time.
Happen in all games. It doesn't happen anymore. They get rid of all that human element.
Well, because it's all greed rolls now and everything.
Dice rolls.
You got to be nice. You got to be good at it to keep going. And if there shouldn't be any name changes, there shouldn't be any changes to your character. That's who you are from the beginning. You're building that. Which are other options I don't think should be allowed in games. Other than that, that's pretty much what I think a good MMO is. Final Fantasy XI did a good job up until about 2008, and then they started to cater to people. They added trusts, which means you can get NPCs to go through dungeons with you, help you with harder content. You don't have to have players. They gave you
like
more
that
experience. No, I hate it.
Yeah, that sounds not good.
I hate it with a passion.
Social aspect out of it again.
Yeah, there it is. There it is. Yeah, exactly.
You just might as well play a solo game.
There are caveats to that, like your coded NPCs are never going to be as good as people. So if you're trying the path of least resistance, like obviously people are going to be better. But I understand like it can pull some people out when they do that. Like Final Fantasy XIV just added trusts into it, so we'll see what happens with the social group. But like it could double or triple the time that you could go through a dungeon. So we'll see what happens with that.
So I mean, I don't mean to get off topic, Jake, but do you think with them adding trust, do you think the population was just bad and that's why they did it, or do you think they did it to cater to more of the solo player?
Yeah, they did it to cater to people that probably shouldn't be playing the game in the first place, honestly.
Right.
And I know that's the last thing they want to hear, but
Was the trust system added before or after 14 was in development?
way
I
before.
think it was before, yeah.
2010, 2008.
Well, 10 was when 14 came out, like the 1.0.
The 1.0, which
Yeah.
Swipper and I played, and
Yeah,
we
so did I.
talked about it some other time.
Yeah, remember we were sitting at your place, us three, and we were
Onto itself.
Yeah, it was amazing.
yeah.
Yeah, I think you did play Captnchunk, but you didn't
Mhm.
play very
I didn't
long.
stick with it with you guys. Yeah,
Greg
went
and I
back to
stuck
WoW.
for as long as they let us, so they shut the game down, and it was weird. That's all I can say. It was very
Hey,
weird.
but the dodos were fun, right? The sleeping dodos.
Yeah, I mean, I could give you a lot of examples. Every game has that point where they want a wider audience,
Mhm.
and they fail. UO was great until it added. UO was all PvP. You could be killed anywhere, and you dropped everything on you. And then they added a place called Tremel, which was a mirror of the other world that you couldn't be killed in by players.
Huh.
Interesting.
Downhill.
Oh,
You ask everyone.
Creating like a PVE server. with
Yeah,
like
that's what it
a
sounds
That's
like.
exactly what it is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Everything was mirrored. You just couldn't be killed by players.
But you know, it is pretty insane that game is still running. I mean,
Yeah, I
people
play
are
it every
still
year
playing.
for 2
Yeah,
months.
yeah, exactly. You're
Find
living
a free
proof.
server and play it. Yeah. Guild Wars 2, as soon as they started like catering to people that complained you got steamrolled in structured PvP and letting you couldn't, what they did was they said you can only queue solo then. What?
Yeah, yeah.
It's nonsense.
I don't like that. I
Yeah.
PvP specifically to do it with my friends for the most part.
And you practice and you get better, and then you don't get steamrolled.
Yeah,
They got rid of that.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And now they allow mounts in the worldview world.
Oh,
But
yeah, that's-
because everyone has a speed buff then. These speed buffs used to matter.
Yeah, but their
and-
mounts in Guild Wars are different because they actually have like unique abilities, though, right? Wouldn't that add to it?
Well, the
Yeah,
thing
but
about
everyone
the
gets that.
but
That's the thing.
The thing about the mount is it like literally has abilities to like when you go down, it will literally stomp on you and almost kill you. Like it's almost like a finisher. And the good part about Guild Wars 2 is you had that like I die, I go down, I could possibly get back up.
Yeah,
if,
everyone has different abilities.
And now
the key is that it's your classes are different.
yeah,
Not every class gets a speed buff, or you have to choose your speed buff over another trait.
right.
Now everyone has a mount. Now everyone
It
has
gives
the same
you,
thing.
and it gives you the RPG aspect of
Modernization.
that.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
hate
not every class should be a warrior and be able to charge or have movement. Like, seems like in WoW these days, everyone has everything. Everyone has an interrupt. Everyone has a speed boost.
Well,
Yeah,
even
Before
worse,
it
in
wasn't
MoP-
that way.
MoP, everyone was the same
Well,
exact class.
Mob, I
Everyone
hear
hyperdrive, so everyone felt like they were superheroes.
there's arguments. People say that MoP was the best class design ever in World of Warcraft. I didn't play too heavily in
Right.
MoP.
If everyone
So-
feels like a superhero, then you're not a superhero. That's what makes them special.
Yeah, yeah.
Exactly.
They're unique powers. Yeah. So that's another thing that 11 has perfected. And I mean, no other game feels like 11 when you play a class. Everything's unique.
Yeah, everything's pretty
it's
catered.
great.
Or tailored
I wish
to-
you could see gameplay of it though. It looks
Well,
like
it
it
looks
was
terrible.
made.
Well, dude,
yeah,
it was, dude, it was made on a PS1, right? It was like you could play PlayStation 1, and that's the
PlayStation
game.
2.
Or it was PlayStation 2.
What game is
Yeah.
it? 14 or 11?
11.
Are
Yeah.
you sure
it
it's
was it was the
PlayStation 2?
first.
The graphics aren't bad.
No,
I
You'd
see
think it would
Jake
be
playing
absolutely
it.
gross.
you see me playing on a $250 laptop.
If you look at 11 and then you look at like EverQuest, which would be
Oh,
their
man.
equivalent, it's so different. Like
You're right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good point.
EverQuest is cartoony.
EverQuest is box. It almost looks like you're watching Minecraft when you're watching EverQuest
Yep.
1.
11 for the time it was out was 50 times better than anything else, and so is 14. 14 still holds up. The graphics
Yeah.
are beautiful.
Absolutely.
So,
Are graphics a big driver for you guys playing any game?
not me.
Not really. Like aesthetics more than anything else. Like I like WoW. It's not the most graphic intense game, but because it went with
Right.
a unique like caricature where it's kind of cartoony. I like WildStar a lot, and that was like same thing.
Yeah.
Kind of, like,
Yeah.
Yeah, I
cartoony
didn't mind
graphics.
WildStar graphics.
I almost feel like sometimes when they try to go with hyper realism, it ruins it because it just doesn't look right. Their
Yeah.
engine
Yeah.
is bad. Like that's why I don't really like watching ESO. They went for hyper realism. Their engine is not that great. It looks like you have a stick up your butt when you're running around all the time.
It does.
And I'm
It
like,
does.
this looks really bad. Like I'd rather it be cartoony like WoW than be trying to be hyper realism with great graphics.
Yeah, I actually
If you're
like,
gonna play it, don't do it.
I like Final Fantasy's graphics. I think they're great. 14, 11, I can deal with. I can deal with 11's graphics, but WoW, I like their art style. So maybe it's not
I
the
do too.
best graphics, but their art style is really nice and it
I
looks
think
smooth.
graphics is one
and-
of those things that will draw you in.
Yeah,
But if the gameplay is good, the immersion's good, that kind of stuff is good, you forget about it.
Right.
you do.
Like
No.
Black Desert. Like Black Desert, I think it looks really good, but like I'm gonna
When
play
you're
Black Desert.
hardcore into a game, you do not look at the graphics anymore.
Right. I mean,
Especially if
look
you
at
played it
indie
for
games.
years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like if you look at indie games, like some of them look like they would play on the SNES, and people love them. And it's 2019.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it doesn't
Which I just
matter.
dated this podcast.
Whatever. All right, I'm done.
You're done? You don't want to talk? That's everything
I'm,
about 11.
I'm not talking ever again.
I'm not talking about it again.
All right, guys. Thank you for coming, Johnny.
Yep. See ya.
All right, man. Troy, go ahead, man.
Oh, you want me to go? Where do I want to start? Well, I'm gonna play classic. I'm waiting for classic. I'm taking a week off. If you guys don't know, I'm gonna be streaming it on Twitch. But the one of the biggest things for me is the community aspect. We already talked about it a little bit of the actual social aspect of MMOs and how nowadays it's just gone. And I mean, we really already talked about that though. So let's actually talk about PvP. PvP is one of my favorite things in World of Warcraft. Like actual world PvP, they are doing really good in 8.2. They have this Battle for Nazjatar area where it's the regular area. There's no flying right now, and it turns into a war zone. There's different capture points you have to capture, and it makes the world feel organic. Because one day I'm just going through questing the first day it came out, and then I hear this war horn like boo-doo, and boom, right there, total war front. Like everyone's fighting each other. You got to form a raid group and everything, and it just it makes the world feel like a world. You know?
So, not to cut you off, but you mentioned something that was really important, and you said that there's no flying, right? What are your
Right.
thoughts on like world PvP and flying? Because in my world, like I think
Yeah.
like flying kind of screwed things over. But I don't know what they do to kind of combat that. But anyway, go ahead.
I'll go
ahead.
as far as to say is you shouldn't have mounts in PvP.
I could.
ever.
I kind of argue that. I like ground mounts. I do like ground mounts.
I guess
What-
it's how they do it, right? If you can just get on your mount whenever willy nilly, right? No, that's not gonna work, right? There's got to be some kind of cooldown, or if you hit battle, like you can't get on your mount, which I think WoW does anyway, right? Like,
yeah,
you
no.
can't-
If you're in combat, you can't. So
Yeah.
if someone's hitting you, you can't mount up
Yeah.
for it. But flying, so what I wish WoW did is they have it kind of okay right now. Right now, to get flying, it's time gated. It's unlocked right now. You're able to get it, but you have to have every reputation in that expansion to revered,
Mhm.
and you have to like explore every place there is. You have to already have been there, and that's okay. I wish they wouldn't implement it till the next expansion. Like you can only fly in previous expansions. That would be my ideal situation.
I
Because
like
then
that.
world PvP, yeah, and then so like when you're farming mounts or you're still doing shit on like older characters or something, yeah, sure, you can fly. But current content, so it keeps world PvP alive. I wish there was no flying at all. That would be my ideal way of doing it. I mean, what do you guys think?
Yeah, man, just straight up, I think flying it takes everybody off the ground. And when you're running around on the ground trying
Yeah.
to kill somebody, you're not seeing anybody. So I think that's like actually a perfect point. Like you can't fly like at all. Or what if they made like don't they have war mode, right? They have war mode.
A great
So
implementation. I can't talk. Yes, that's a great feature too.
So
I love
what
war
if you
mode.
went in war mode, right, and then you couldn't fly? I mean, I don't know if people would be assholes and like just turn it
Ooh.
off, fly, and then turn it on. Like I mean, I don't know.
You
They'd
can
have to
only
do
turn
something.
it on and
Yeah.
off in capital city, so it's not like you can.
Oh,
have to go
true.
back to your this capital city.
That's a good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think what we're talking about again is like easy way out again. Flying. If you don't want to fight, you fly. You know? That
Exactly.
shouldn't be.
Yeah.
If you're PvPing, you need to be PvPing.
Right.
You can't get away like that.
That'd
Yeah.
be the only way I'd go on a PvP server now is if I could fly. That way no one can touch me.
Well, you can. But with that war mode thing, that's a good idea, Swiper. But the only drawback is PvE servers would have a huge advantage for farming because you would or non-war mode people would have a huge advantage for farming because they could just like farm all their mats by flying while everyone with it on.
Well, could you just use the war mode buff that they already have to say you now farm double the amount?
Ooh,
There you go.
there's an
When you
idea.
There you go.
Node, like you when you
Yeah.
node, you get double the amount. Like,
But
Yeah.
then, wait,
Whatever
okay,
number
all
it
right.
is.
But then, would
Mhm.
somebody would some asshole be like, "Oh, well, I'm just going to turn this on and then farm and use it as a farming tool rather than actually PvPing?"
That's
You know,
what
because
people
there's
do.
always
Like,
that person.
I
Well, they can be
leveled
killed,
my
though.
first character to 80 or 120 or whatever it was. Sorry, Shadowbringers is 80. I leveled mine to 120 by putting war mode on to get the XP buff.
Right.
And everyone was so busy leveling, I never ran into one person, so I was able.
Not
to
a single one. Well, it's also
maybe 3 times my whole entire leveling thing, and then they
Also
killed me
for-
and then ran past.
for BFA, they separated Alliance and Horde. You probably wouldn't because Alliance had their own island, Horde had their own own island. So if you were doing it during current, like right at release, you
At the
probably
same
wouldn't
zone, yeah.
Yeah, that
see
makes sense.
anyone. So yeah, logically, of course, you're gonna put war mode on during that
Right.
time.
I just
Ah.
use it as a tool to make things faster.
hmm
Yeah.
One of the reasons I don't like Final Fantasy is the lack of PvP implemented in it, whether it be world PvP or how they change your abilities and stuff like that. And that's a big reason why I actually don't play Final Fantasy is because I love it, man. Just the coordination. You gotta like stun one, and then you gotta pop cooldowns, and you gotta like coordinate with your friend who's also gonna stun him right after that. Like I don't know, it's really fun. I love it.
If your main focus is PvP, 14's not your thing.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
PvP is a side thing you do for fun. Like that's kind of the thing that 14 does is they make lots of little side things that you can do for fun when you're not doing other things. And that's what PvP is. It's not highly like there is like a competitive scene, but it's like this almost like underground thing that no one really knows
Right.
about. But it's really
So-
just there to have fun on an off night, and it's not meant to be competitive at all. So if you're a
Yeah.
competitive PvP or like I could see why you wouldn't.
That brings us to another point we
Yeah.
talked about is do you think there can be a game that has perfect PvP and PvE in one game?
It's really hard to balance. Like
Yeah.
right now in WoW, for instance, Resto Shamans, they go in Ghost Wolf. You cannot kill that motherfucker. It takes 4 of you. Like, because there's an
Yeah.
Azerite trait that makes it so it auto heals the Ghost Wolf or something like that, and they take reduced damage with a talent, and you cannot kill them, and
Yeah.
it's just like
Well, if you
I just
if
give
you
up.
That is good for PvE, or is it only like people PvPing that are taking it? Because if only people who are PvPing are taking that trait, that's just a bad trait. It's not a
Well, I mean, you could
balance.
take it. I guess you could take it in PvE if you're like there's a boss mechanic where you take a heavy amount of damage. So that Ghost Wolf is not gonna
Yeah.
take damage.
that's
Uh,
exactly the point right there. Like when you are making a game for PvE and PvP, the best way, in my opinion, to make a good PvP game is to make some type of rock paper scissors game, where
That vanilla WoW, right there.
it's like because you're designing classes to beat a mob with millions of HP, right? You're designing these classes to do these dungeons. What person is going to have millions of HP in PvP? You know what I mean? Like the balance for that is just so the
Yeah, it
other
doesn't
way.
make sense.
It's the other
really
way.
difficult.
And
or
I
impossible to
it's
do.
honestly, I think WoW does a really good job of doing PvE and PvP the way they do it because they give you all your abilities essentially, right? Like they do the best that I could see. I mean, I know ESO is a thing, but I don't really play ESO that much anymore. I used to, but
ESO PvP looks fun. I haven't really gone into it too hard, but Cyrodiil is a good idea. Mass PvP zone, always active.
yeah,
Great
like
idea.
old school Winter Grasp.
Yeah,
Old school
Everything
Winter
gets turned
Grasp.
off.
Wintergrasp
was decent.
Right.
I
I
liked
liked
Winter
Wintergrasp.
Grasp. I liked it.
Yeah, I played it a bunch. And then not only did you PvP, the person who wins that unlocks the raid vault. You know,
Yes.
there was a mini raid.
Yeah, that was sort of started
You
in
know?
Ion.
Well, I think that started from Dark Age of Camelot because Dark Age
Oh,
of
was it?
Camelot.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Dark Age had it.
If you took all the keeps and were winning in the RVR
Uh-huh.
zone, you would unlock the best dungeon, like basically in the entire game. You know what I mean? And that's where all your gear was and all that stuff. So if you're winning, and like that's what I loved about. I think that was Winter Grasp, right? If you took their keep or that keep, only your
Right.
faction could go in there,
Mhm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And the problem with me, and we'll get to this when we get to Final Fantasy, was that they gave like too good of loot. Like it was freebie loot essentially when you went in there, but like that idea would be good.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
and the way Ultrek Valley works too, that back and forth where it took hours and hours and hours.
Oh yeah, yeah. That was
Yeah.
I almost forgot about that.
You could log out, log back in, and still be in that same fucking BG.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if I have the patience for that though. Like goddamn. But every other BG I love, Rathi Basin, Warsong Gulch, and WoW has like I don't know, has a variety of BGs. Like
Mhm.
it doesn't get
Oh, yeah.
stale.
Yeah.
You know? So I can do BG. I do like right after we get done with this. I'm hopping on with my homie and we're doing random BGs.
Dude, like,
I
you
don't
could-
even get anything for it. It's
Yeah.
all transmog. Is all I
Yeah.
get.
You could, I mean, you could spend a
You
whole
know?
night doing that, right? I mean, you could plan out a
Yeah.
whole night and stream just doing BGs. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, yeah, and I'm gonna
Mhm.
start doing that.
So
Yeah.
what do you guys think of structured PvP in an MMO, like Guild Wars 2 did, where you go into whole zone, everyone is max level, everyone gets the same gear choices, and everyone has the complete skill trees unlocked to cater however they want to.
It takes
Um,
the RPG aspect out.
Yes.
I don't know. Like as
I mean-
a non-PvPer, I don't PvP. So just so
Right.
the audience knows,
Except for Hutball.
Except for Hutball, yes.
We'll talk about that in the future. But the structured PvP would be the only way that I would probably enjoy it.
Yeah.
If you could make it similar to like a game of League of Legends or Dota 2 or something.
That's exactly what it is.
how
That's
I
a
would
good
think.
point.
And I was actually thinking about this. Like if you could create like a rated system of either arenas or battlegrounds and then tier your gear, similar to how like a MOBA has you level up. So
Oh.
and you buy gear. So like you'll have a rating. Like you have in League of Legends you have iron, bronze, silver, gold, all the way to challenger, and you would get your PvP set based upon what like MMR rank you were. So if you were silver, you'd have like silver level gear. You grind out. You finally made your way to platinum. Now you can buy the platinum set.
Mm.
But
and
you're
that
saying
way-
gear matters then.
but you're going to be if you're doing rated battlegrounds, you'd only be with people within your rank.
So
But then
you'd
it
have the
doesn't
same.
matter.
You'd have the same
It doesn't
gear
matter.
essentially.
Mm.
It doesn't matter if you're doing ranked, and then it does matter when you're just out in the world. Like you get to keep your gear for PvE. You get to keep
That's
your
how
gear
Guild
for
Wars 2
normal
did it.
mode.
Yeah.
But in structured, you get like whatever rank you are, that's your gear, and that way everyone who's playing ranked is on an even playing field, and then you can like
Gotcha.
go out into the regular world and be like, I'm a platinum level player, I'm a diamond level player, like big dick DPS, I kill you. Like
Yeah.
you at least get
Yeah.
like a satisfaction of grinding to that level by being able to do it either in normals where you just go in and crush people's face, or out in the world if there is world PvP. But when it matters, like in ranked mode, get that gear, that's where everything should be the same.
I
But
could, you know what?
again-
I could see that because it's actually really, it's like a cool idea because when you're doing structured PvP in Guild Wars, right? The one thing is everyone has the same gear. You have the same options essentially.
Mm-hmm.
But when you think about it, you're PvPing for competition, right? But if you add in some extra little things like, oh, well, I can work up to bronze or I can work up to silver and get these things, it just adds a little bit more incentive to do that because you have a goal in
In
mind.
Guild Wars 2 was all aesthetic rewards.
It was, yeah, but I
Skin
kind
I
of
think
stuff.
it should matter. Like if you are a diamond level player, you can wear that into a dungeon, a raid, out questing, and then if someone sees like, oh wow, and make them all different looks because aesthetics matter.
Right.
Like
Oh yeah.
Yes,
so
yeah.
you go
yes.
by you're farming your little herbs or mines or doing daily quests, and you see that person coming up in diamond PvP gear, you like I have to run.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's
If you
like
see someone in
advertisement.
bronze
Yeah.
gear, you're like, oh, I'm on even gear with them. I could.
Yeah, let's see what we can do. Yeah.
But then that brings a balance aspect back to it if you're taking it into the normal game.
I don't think you can't balance world PvP.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
You can never.
As
never.
a non-PvPer, I don't think PvPers want a world PvP balanced. Because from
No.
everything I hear, they love just ganking people who have crap gear, and that's what the fun is.
Yeah,
I'm a
I mean,
person with
I
crap
can't
gear
stand
who gets
that.
ganked, and I hate it.
No,
think about
But I'm
Think
not
about-
a PvPer.
think about.
I don't like the
STD.
Zerg aspect of world PvP. Because again, I like to feel like I matter
Yeah.
in the game.
Yeah,
When
but
you're
okay.
200 v
But
200. You
think
don't.
think about this, Jake. Say
Hardcore
you're
bad.
say you're in a 6-man, right? And you come across
Yeah.
12 people, 15
Yeah.
people, and you got your abilities, right? You can actually like stun them all and then like pick off a ton of them and then have a smaller fight, like then would you feel better? Like if you had a
Yes.
mechanic to stop a Zerg as a small group.
Yeah, but then everyone has that
I don't
too.
like that.
Right, but everyone has that, so therefore nobody's going to want to run in a big giant group because it's
So
out of sense
The
it's kind
12
of
person still has
disadvantage.
advantage.
Not necessarily though. Not necessarily, because if you throw down an AoE and they're clumped in a group, you know what I mean? I don't. It would force them to separate. Essentially, is what I'm trying to say. It's one way to combat and force a 12-man to separate into 2 6-mans. So therefore, there's more 6-mans running around, and it's not like a big Zerg battle all the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know. I
So
think that's really difficult to pull off.
The way to combat this 12-man versus 6-man instance right here is it's an MMO. You just in /1 you say, hey, the horde is fucking us up, let's get
Yeah.
a team together. Like that's
True.
what I love. It,
Yeah.
it makes
No,
the
that
war-
happens.
like people
Yeah.
forget that. Like I was doing a Alliance Slayer the other day, the title for it, and I got a bounty on my head. I had to kill 10 Alliance without dying. And I formed up a group, and I got 2 other people the title too, and they were like, wow, this is the most fun I've had in
Yes.
WoW and like ever. And they added me as a friend, and I was like, guys, they didn't understand that was an MMO because they must have just started or something. Like you gotta talk in the
We
world.
forget
You
about
gotta
the removal of communities. Like,
Now the thing
exactly.
though,
Yeah.
Like you gotta get it back. That's why I was like, just guys,
yes,
just
we do.
type in /1, hit me up anytime. Like
Now that
let's
happened
do
though in
some
Guild
stuff,
Wars too,
you know?
in World PvP. You would say we need more people here, we need more people here, but then it becomes a Zerg.
It's just and honestly, Guild Wars 2 didn't. I really don't think they did a good job in World vs. World. The maps were too small.
No,
The
they
classes didn't really make sense. And to me, honestly, it's extremely difficult. How can you balance PvE, small scale PvP, large scale open world PvP? Like, it's almost
You
impossible.
can't.
I think
It's
it is
almost
impossible. Yeah.
But it makes it still. I mean, I still like it. I enjoy smashing on people.
Oh hell yeah, hell yeah, man, absolutely.
I'll just finish up. There's a couple more points of just why I like WoW. Mounts, like we've already said, aesthetics matter. Like when you see someone riding by on Invincible, you're like, damn, that guy grinded. Like, or I got lucky. Shit, I got Ashes of Alar on my first try. That Phoenix in WoW, first try.
Wait, you
Lucky
actually
got
did that, or somebody you know did that?
I did.
Oh no
I
shit,
did.
that's awesome, man.
First try. I thought it was bugged.
I thought it was bugged.
Yeah, I was like, this is really happening.
I'm sure you didn't report that either, right? Yeah.
No,
I think
no,
this is a bug. Take my mount away.
No, hell no.
So, what's your opinion then of the 8.1 day 2 store mount?
The one that they just So if you have to subscribe for 6 months to get them out, it's a terrible implementation. I mean, Asmongold's talked about this.
Yeah.
They could have look at the mounts right now for like Glory of the Raider achievement. It's some mount that's a reskin of another reskin. Like it's not a mount that you see that you're like, oh fuck. But that mount, that's the only mount that has that model. And you have to pay 6 months of game time for that mount. Like it drives the incentive out to actually grind and get stuff. Like if that mount was something I could grind for, I would be grinding right now on this podcast or right now. Like I'd be playing WoW on the second screen right now, trying to get this mount right now. Like,
yeah.
So I'm against it. I'm against store mounts. Just let me earn it. I'm gonna play the game. Let me earn it.
Right.
Yeah, give you something else to like shoot for while you're playing in the game, you know. And
exactly.
honestly, overall, when it comes to like the store, if you make a good game, right? Like I really like League of Legends some points of my life. There's sometimes I really like it, other points I hate it. But let's say I'm on a character and I love that character. Well, I'm going to go spend money on that character because I really like that character, right? So I'm going to give money to the company because I'm like, oh, I like this game. I'm going to give you guys money. I want you guys to keep rolling out, right? And I think some games just kind of force a store on you. And it just gives you a bad taste. Like, at least for me, it gives me a bad taste.
League of Legends is also free to play, and you can't actually get any skins, like quote unquote.
That's
in-game.
true.
You can now because they added like.
Well, it's free to play though.
But
It is free to play.
They have a
but
pass.
in WoW, you have mounts that you can get in game, and then the WoWs that they add to the cash shop. Everything that's cosmetic for League of Legends is on the shop. Nothing like in the game.
I already bought WoW for $60. I pay them $15 a month.
And you
that's and I buy like how much money can they get from me? Like they're getting more money from me than any other game right now, and they want more. Like it's
That's the
just like
point of the thing.
what do
That's
you,
what they do. That's
but like more people would play if they implemented it differently. I mean, why did they have a height of 10 million, 15 million subscribers back in the day? It's because it was a MMORPG. It was an actual. Now it's just a
no, they destroy.
solo
And Jake
casual
talked about,
game.
Johnny talked about that before.
Yeah, we looked this up too. What the highest active players, like people logging into the game every day, was in Lich King for WoW, and it was like 3 million. The second highest
Like concurrent players, you mean?
active players, logging into
like
the game.
at once.
Like not subscriptions. People playing the game day in and day out.
Logged in at the same time.
Yep, exactly. Was 3 million, which is utterly ridiculous. Second place was last December. Final Fantasy XIV was 600,000. You're talking
Nothing.
5 times.
Yeah, when you
in WoW.
when
So
you-
what did they do? What did they do right?
They started making things easier. But what did they do to get rid of that number?
It was
They
a
started making
balance.
things easier.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
Took
Yeah.
things away.
Well,
Lich King was a good balance. They still had the hard content that you could not everyone could do, but it was a little quality of life stuff. There was a lot more content for casual players.
but
too.
it was the start of the end. You know?
It was. No, it was
That's why it
definitely
peaked there. But you have to look backwards, I think, to figure out how they got there. And I think
Yeah.
I think that's happening now with the coming of Classic WoW. People are getting really retrospective and saying,
Yes.
like, why is this
Mhm.
so appealing to me? It shouldn't
Mhm.
be. It's 15 years old. And then you could actually see the decline of WoW to where it is now and it was like a slow death. Like it wasn't like, oh, I could see it here. It was little things that came in at once, like the introduction of LFG, LFR, like the RNG element of gear grinding, so that you could never
Titanforging.
finish or quote unquote win the game. Because people like that. They want to be able to achieve something. They want to be able to sit down with their second monitor open and be like, this is the gear I need to get. Here's where I can get it.
Yeah.
It's going to take me 2 or 3 months to get there, but I'm going to have, even casuals. And this is the problem. I think WoW is like, well, we need to make it better for casual players so they can actually get that sense of achievement. But then they took that sense of achievement away by being like, here you go. Like, you don't going to have to actually work for it.
It's a paradox. You can't do it.
When you're hardcore, like, neckbeard player grinds it out in like 2 weeks, they're satisfied that they put in that hard 2-week grind. It's just as satisfying for that casual player who put in 4 months and gets it right when a new patch comes out and was like, I did this. That's gone. And that's what MMOs need to be. Like, people are so afraid of the grind now, but the grind is what makes it fulfilling.
Right.
Now it's just dopamine hit after dopamine hit after dopamine hit.
Instant gratification.
It is, man. It's like what's that game? Fortnite,
you
man.
build tolerance just like a drug. And
so
there's you can almost go into it to like a I don't know, what is it called, chemical level, where you have dopamine and you have oxytocin. Like dopamine is that instant hit, that rush from like sugar or drugs, and then oxytocin is this sense of like euphoria you get from relationships. And old school WoW and good MMOs foster rises in oxytocin.
Yeah.
Where you learn, you meet somebody and you really love them, and it's much more meaningful. Oxytocin in your system is much more long lasting. It's much more meaningful than that dopamine hit you get.
Right.
But dopamine hits are much more intense, so you tend to remember your dopamine hits.
And it's probably easier making like
a quick buck
kind of content.
It's much easier to be like, oh, I got a Titan Forged plus 40 gear. That's awesome. I want to pull the slot machine again, instead of like, I've been friends with this person for 3 years and we do things every day together.
So my hope for WoW is that classic WoW does really well, and they see that people like this sort of stuff and they implement harder mechanics or just like actual old school mechanics into it. And because what if retail WoW with the art team, like Nazjatar looks beautiful, man. What if everything like that stayed the same, the art and everything, but they made the game actually good? Like, do you know how big it would be? Like, it's crazy. Like, ideal situation for me. It would consume my life.
Here's the thing again, though. For us that have been through that, it's not going to be the same ever again. That first time you go through it, it'll be good. It can be good, but it's never going to be that first time. That's meaningful for a reason. I mean, life all of life rewards you for new experiences.
Yeah. I can
It's a
see that.
great. That's what feels the best, and new shared experiences are even better. So this is not going to be new for three of us here. So I don't know. We're not going to like it probably as much as Tim, because Tim will. Hopefully, if they do it right, Tim will get that
Because I started late brand
experience for the first time. Yeah.
I didn't play it.
So what I think the problem with Lich King is that they saw an easy way to copy things and make money.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
They're like, we had this many subscribers. This is a record. This is brilliant. And then they just were like, we need to do the same thing. We need to make this better. We need to copy this, but can we exaggerate it more? And it ruined it. It's not, you need new ideas to capture that, you know? And sometimes you're going to fail. They were afraid of failing. So they just
But that's
did the
what
same
patches
thing.
are for.
Right.
What
But
patches are for.
they were
Yeah.
just thinking, we're so successful. How do we keep that up? And doing it lazily.
How do we attract more people? Like,
Yeah.
how do we get people who don't want to play our game to play our game? Instead of saying, how do we get the people who love our genre to stay around and to tell their friends about us and to have them come in? It's how do we get the Call of Duty kids into our game? How do we get the now Fortnite kids, which wasn't back then? But how do we get those like other gamers that aren't MMORPG or even just RPG people? How do we get everybody?
But then they lose us. They lose you guys, true
That's
fans
the
who will
point.
actually pay good money every single month,
And we'll
because
stick
they're
with
making
it, yes.
so broad, you know.
And you're actually seeing that again with Diablo Immortal. They're ignoring their player base and the people who helped and loved that genre to grab the bucks in China.
Mm-hmm.
And like it's the exact same thing. They want to collect more people, and they forget about the people that want to play their game, and instead of target the people who don't want to play their game.
Yeah, that's it.
I've taken up. I'm just one more thing I want to talk about. One last one. Sorry.
You're all good, man. Go for it.
What was lore? Because I hated the MSQ in Final Fantasy XIV. I could not get through that fucking shit. It was terrible. The most boring thing. It's like pulling nails. I love WoW lore. Like I read the quests. I look up videos and then like every morning, you know, have a coffee and like look up a WoW lore video or something like that. And that was the big thing that PvP that Final Fantasy XIV didn't have. And I just didn't want to level up. It wasn't fun to me. Like, and
But I think that I don't think it's anything to do with the MSQ. I think it's gameplay. I don't think you enjoyed the gameplay enough.
I mean, I tanked. That was fun.
Yeah.
Well, I think. Well, remember when we did that one? What was that Primal fight? I think you enjoyed that Primal fight because I mean, we wiped like 5 times, and you know, I remember I was like the last healer standing, and and
what
it
I
was
mean though
intense,
is the gameplay with the questing. Let's call MSQ questing.
Yeah.
Okay. I like the dungeons. Dungeons were fine. I like that.
Yeah.
It was the actual questing.
Yeah.
That sucked.
It's not. I agree with you. It's not fun.
Yeah.
I love story, and I think Final Fantasy has some of the best story in 14. But it's not fun doing it and progressing through it.
But it wasn't only just the quest, like the lore I was uninterested in too. Like I couldn't tell you one fucking character's
I think
name.
it's also very convoluted and complicated.
It's
hard to follow.
Yeah, you have to start from the beginning. Like you have to go from the beginning and understand from the very beginning. Because even like Nico, Captnchunk made a good point. He's just like, I'm watching his story and I'm like, who is this guy? And he's like, you should know who that is. And I'm like, I don't know who this guy is.
Exactly.
Exactly. And it's actually like an incredibly important character to the story of Shadowbringers. And he's like, oh, show me who you are. And I'm like, you should know instantly the profile of this person.
Right.
That it's this guy.
Yeah, and that's because
he was introduced like not too long ago from Storeblood.
But Greg and Tim and I have a hard time paying attention to it.
Well, I gotta say, Shadowbringers actually has kept my attention. I do like the story, and I'm actually reading even some of the side quests. So I think it is a lot about the story. I just liked the idea of Shadowbringers. I like the whole concept that we were bringing darkness into light, because it was. I always liked the Dark Knight, right? I always love that, and the fact that you're bringing darkness to light, it just I don't know. It just it's like the whole orc and human thing for Warcraft in WoW. Like I just love that.
Right.
Just that, you know what I mean? So I think there's got to be a general interest in the story that they're telling to begin with, right? And if you don't get that, then it's going to be very difficult, in my opinion. Definitely.
Right. If I can't follow the story, and then it's all gameplay based, and it has to be amazing. If there's not a good story,
I agree.
you know, and you know. But yeah, so I took a break from Final Fantasy XIV. Maybe one day I'll go back.
Took a break. You're not coming back.
Let's face it.
There's no reason for
Let's
you
face
to.
it.
Your biggest draw is
Yeah.
PvP, so you'll get bored.
Yeah.
There's no reason.
And it's honestly it's difficult for me because I'm a big PvP guy. Like I actually like a really good
Right.
mix, and it's
And
difficult.
you heal too.
Yeah, and
Right?
healing is, and that's the reason why I like healing so much is because it's more reaction based, and
Right.
PvP is a lot of reaction based. So it's difficult because I'll play Final Fantasy for a while and then I'll be like, boy, I really want a PvP, like, and then I'm sitting there and then they have some of the modes and some of them are fun, but like WoW just has so many modes. You know what I mean? It has
It's
so many
great.
different modes.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's tough, but I what are you gonna do, right? You play the game that you're most enjoying, and then you just kind of stick with it. So,
Right.
All
but
right, who's up next?
go ahead, Captnchunk, man.
Swipper is no, because yours is gonna lead into mine.
Okay, so yeah, we
Your
talked
friends
about
game.
so we talked about a lot. So I'll try not to repeat myself or like you know what I mean. So some of the points we didn't talk about, I guess we sort of talked about like dungeons, but Final Fantasy XIV, the dungeons compared to other games, they're difficult. It's not something you kind of just rush through half the dungeon and then just take all the mobs on with a bunch of AoEs. I know some games are like that. Other games, the trash mobs are they're just literally trash. With 14, they don't really feel like trash mobs. And I think even with this expansion now, some of these trash mobs actually have like mechanics, which is pretty
They
cool.
hit very hard, so you can't really chain pull.
Yeah, it's
We'll
very
see how things are when we get over geared, but right now
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
cannot chain pull.
One thing 14 does awesome are primal battles. So I don't know if you
Mhm.
guys have ever, obviously you guys have all played probably 14 games, but anybody listening, basically like a Frit and Garuda, like you actually fight these things. It is a lot of fun when you first do it because there's different mechanics and there's all sorts of crazy stuff going on and nobody knows what they're doing. So you're just like, it's like a madhouse, man. And it's just totally intense and I love it. Like I love almost every primal battle I've fought in that game. I like the graphics. And also I guess the nostalgia aspect. So kind of like with WoW, like Warcraft and WoW, I had that. But with Final Fantasy Shadowbringers, I love tactics. I love tactics. I loved 8 and even 15. So all that together really encompasses why like I play these games. And I guess the last thing I want to talk about, and hopefully I'm not taking too much, Captnchunk, is Yoshi P, man, the director of just Final Fantasy XIV. Like when you see him, like you see his passion, you see how much he loves his product. I mean, I remember when A Realm Reborn came out, right? And people were really upset because they couldn't log in. Well, go figure, for MMO launches, like you can't log in. Like he was on stage literally.
Shadowbringers.
Yeah, that was surprising. I was disconnected one time the first day, and that was it.
Really?
Yeah, one time.
Dang.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember.
Good.
I was reading their chat at work, and Nika was like, "I can go to the bathroom now. The servers are down." Something like that. I'm like, oh. And that was after like 8 hours.
Yeah.
That's really
They
good.
attack. They put it up on their Twitter that they were fighting that. And then there was one other problem where when people would finish instances, it wouldn't actually like reset for the next person in line, so they had to go in and manually close all the instances. That was the only two issues they had.
Yeah.
See, I usually don't play the first day of a MMO release, like at all.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Oh yeah. And I guess the last point was I was talking how Yoshi P came on stage or whatever. He was essentially crying, like literally crying, apologizing to everybody. And I'm like, dude, the developers nowadays barely say they're wrong, like hardly ever. And for somebody to come out in public and just bawl their eyes out in front of everybody, like it sounds kind of stupid.
why was he crying?
Because of how many people just couldn't get in the game. Like he was just so
What?
upset
His
about
product
it.
was not as good as he wanted it to be.
Yeah.
Wow.
And you just like that just made me like goosebumps, man. I'm just like, holy crap! Like
Yeah,
this guy
you
actually
have
cares.
to understand what he went through though, from the first incarnation of this game until how much work he put in. Because 1.0, as we discussed, was, oh my god, I don't even know how to talk
Probably
about it.
the worst MMO ever made.
Oh, absolutely.
Really? It was
Hands
that
down.
Exaggerating.
Hands down.
There
dude.
was again, this is what they stated. The original designer, I don't know who his name was. No one will ever know.
Nobody
again.
knows.
No, he's done. He wanted a game that everyone could play alongside WoW.
Right. Yeah.
He was like, we're not going to get WoW people away. So let's make a game where they play on the side. So they limited how you could teleport around the world like 4 times in the
7
day,
times?
and then you had to run across the world.
Yeah.
Um,
They didn't have
you could-
chocobos either, because you
No
couldn't even
chocobos.
ride a chocobo, I don't think, in that game. Right?
You could only get like 5 quests a day, the levy quests.
5 levy quests, and that's it.
Imagine
And
if
then you were
flight
done
paths
for 24
stopped
hours.
Working after your 4th flight path.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
You had to run that whole distance.
No.
To fight a mob out in the world at level 1, you needed a whole party, which I'm not against,
One mob?
but there was something wrong with it.
Dude.
You would fight a dodo, and Greg and I would try to kill dodos at like level 3, and they were like level 3. And one mob right outside a city, noob mob, would destroy us. Destroy us.
Well, what the dodo would do, and I'll always remember this from like the first day, like I always until I die, I'll remember this crap, man. We were fighting this dodo, right? And a big portion of the problem was when I was playing a bard, essentially, or an archer with a white mage. A big part of the problem was when I was shooting my bow, I couldn't tell if I was even hitting the thing half the time because it was just poorly designed. But this dodo would put
Oh my God, the
would put you
bugs
to
were
sleep,
terrible.
then run over to me, put me to sleep, and then just auto attack us down, and we were sleeping for 30 seconds. And we're just like,
Yeah.
what
Yeah,
the
you didn't
hell?
come out of sleep. Like in Final Fantasy games, when you get hit, you come out of sleep. This
Yeah.
didn't work.
And if
It was
you
just
want to
crazy.
throw up, go and this is the audience too. If you want to go like truly vomit, go in and look up a picture of the UI of 1.0.
Oh, that's
Oh god.
Was it bad?
That is
terrible.
the worst
Oh,
UI you will
God.
ever see.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh
So terrible. But Greg and I still played it for like 3 months,
yeah.
and they shut the servers down. Like,
Why,
they
though?
fired
That
everyone
was
and
so cool what they do with that.
brought
Yeah.
Yoshi P in, and they're like, "Okay, you guys, we're getting rid of this game, but we're gonna make a second version, and we're gonna work on it
Yeah.
for a long time till we think it's good,
Yeah.
acceptable."
Well,
and
remember they kept the servers running, and they were trying to
Mhm.
make basically updates while and they made the game free to play, I think, also.
Yep,
So they stopped
did
charging a
Yeah,
fee.
they did,
until
right.
Realm Reborn was ready.
Yeah, and
Yep.
so basically they said, hey, like this is too I think it was just too expensive to leave the servers up. So they basically brought the servers down, and I wasn't there, unfortunately, because that's when I checked out. They had like a big comet come down and just destroy the whole world, and if you were essentially there, you could like watch it come down and like kill
Yeah.
you. Right.
That's kind of cool.
And not only that, this is the really cool part. They made it part of the story
Oh
of
yes.
A Realm Reborn.
Ah,
Yes.
You would be like, it's 5 years later, and people would reference
Right.
1.0.
the
So if
cataclysm.
you actually were a 1.0 player the entire time, they changed dialogue boxes for your
Yeah.
character to say that you were actually there.
Ah,
Yeah.
that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie.
And how long did it take them to come out with 2.0?
It was a couple years, right?
It came out
It was
10
years, but
2010 was 1.0, and I believe 2013 or 14 was A Realm Reborn. So it was
Yeah.
like 3 years.
If
Yeah.
it was
3 or
so
4
bad,
years.
if it was so bad in the beginning, why did you guys still play it?
we had nothing else to play.
Yeah.
We're MMO junkies.
Yes.
Junkies. I wanted it to work.
I went back to WoW and
again.
kept playing.
I
Yeah,
loved
okay.
11, so I was like, maybe they'll make it like 11. Maybe
Yeah, I
this and
remember-
that, and it just didn't.
I remember Jake when I was at your place. Sorry, Johnny Clash. Jake,
Yeah.
whatever. I'm calling you Jake. And
That's fine.
Captnchunk, we were sitting in the whatever room that was, the family room or whatever. And I remember we were playing that game, and Jake is like, "No, guys, the game's supposed to be like this. It's like 11. It's supposed to be really difficult, and we're supposed to perform a party
Yeah,
to
I
kill
was
a
trying
mob."
to rationalize it, which
And
didn't
you
work.
couldn't jump.
Yeah, you couldn't
You
jump.
couldn't
but
jump.
What?
That's
You
fine
could
with
not
you.
jump.
You can't jump in Final Fantasy 11, and I never have an issue with
Oh my.
never.
At least you
You
didn't
WoW
get.
people always want to jump.
Oh
Hey,
yeah,
I
It's
like
like
jumping.
ingrained in your WoW.
I have a demon hunter.
personalities.
Yeah, you know what? You
No.
couldn't jump in Guild Wars 1 either.
No.
So you know what? Yeah, you couldn't do that. But I like
This guy's
jumping.
for a junkie, so I have to. I just tap it.
Yeah, it's
When I was
like
playing WoW, like classic WoW as a rogue, so I jump during combat.
Oh, you
Yeah.
gotta as a rogue. Gotta.
Yeah. All right, so yeah, that's basically my 2 cents. So go ahead,
Yeah,
Captain
and I
Chung, man,
think
take it away.
going on your idea of Yoshi P and the developers, like I think that really matters when it comes to the development of a good MMO. Because if you don't have people like really caring about the product they're making, if it's just money to them, which really think that the developers of WoW right now don't play their own game. There is no way that they would do what they do if they played the game. They'd be like, "This is really, really bad. I don't want to play this game."
Yeah.
Right.
They
Yeah.
develop the game and they probably play something else. In fact, I think I don't know if it's true or not, but someone had mentioned how like most of their guys just play mobile games now. Like when it's their free time, they grab out their phones and like that's why they're making mainly mobile games. But then you have like Yoshi P and his developers and his team, and like they care so much about this game, and you can see it when you actually get the final product. In fact, like the two new races that came out, the Rothgar and Viera for this new expansion, their heads, the models didn't work on like most head pieces in the game. And Yoshi P came out when he announced these two races and said, "Sorry, most of the headpieces are not going to work because these are custom built heads for the races, and we don't have it done." And they announced a couple months ago that the developers, on their own free time, went and coded like over 500 headpieces to work on the Viera and the Rothgar because they wanted to make sure that their product was actually like up to a standard that they liked. Like on their lunch breaks, on their free time, they're coding all these heads to work, these headpieces, and they're like, and they didn't tell Yoshi P that they were doing it either. They did it on their own, and they're like, "Oh, by the way, we just finished over 500 heads. Here you go." And he was like astonished that they did this.
Wow.
And like,
Yeah,
when
that's
you
cool.
have that dedication, your game is going to be at least like good. Maybe not like the greatest thing ever, but people are going to care if your developers play the game. They're going to be gamers themselves, and they're going to want good games. So
Yeah,
I
and
think that's really really important to any MMO is to make sure that that you get developers that actually care. And like right now, Blizzard, I think they're about like the almighty dollar and how much they can make, and they want to make it as easy as possible to cut as much cost.
yeah,
Because
I
it's
think
not.
I go.
Sorry,
I,
go on.
I think I don't know. I can agree with that, but I also think there probably are some developers at Blizzard, right? They're that really do want to see change,
Oh, yeah.
but it's not really
The
in their
people that
hands.
matter, I don't think play anymore though.
Yeah,
Like Yoshi
yeah,
P plays the game. He's a black mage,
yeah,
and like he uses his character when he does any like of the like I'll show you what we have, like the live letters.
yeah, and he'll like talk
And
about Black Mage too to like people that ask him Black
right.
Mage questions. He's like, well, this is what I think, and this is how I played, and this is why I think it could
Mhm.
be better or worse, and that's actually really cool. So, but
And
sorry, go
I
ahead.
and I think like Jay Allen Brack, the president of Blizzard now, doesn't play the game. He's the guy, if you don't know, that said like with classic WoW, you think you want it, but you don't.
Yeah. Also, Mike
He's now
Morhaime.
running Blizzard Entertainment. Like,
Mhm.
why would you want someone that tells a fan who is like obviously like really wanting something that they don't want it?
Yeah.
He probably doesn't play the game. And I would guess, and I might be wrong in this, but if I had to be a betting man, I would say that Ian Haskosis doesn't play the game.
He does
Doesn't he have a
actually.
guild?
But I don't think he actually plays that much.
I think he still does. But also, it's Activision Blizzard now. Like,
Yeah,
the
but they're still the same company. Like the
but
people who have been Blizzard are gone now. Like you have like Metzen gone, Mike
right,
Morhaime gone, the people
right.
that actually like built that and cared. The Yoshi Ps of Blizzard are out the door.
Like, but you look at Destiny with Bungie and Activision, and after Activision left, they made a lot of good steps. Free to play, more content. Not you don't have to buy every single expansion anymore.
Mm.
Like, I think a big factor of why WoW is so money hungry is Activision. I mean,
I,
they have numbers, they have quotas to hit. They like
yeah,
Right. Their
I can
shareholders
totally.
have their cash. That by the way, that going back to that mount that goes on the store, I didn't realize this until like yesterday. That
Mhm.
mount went on the store like the week before quarter two ended.
Yeah,
Oh
they're trying to
yeah,
Their
hit
last
numbers.
ditch effort
Yeah.
to get their numbers.
Trying to hit
quarter
numbers.
two up.
But then what happens when people actually buy it and that leaves a drought for like the
Yep.
next quarter?
It's,
know?
it's stealing from Peter to pay Paul. Like what's going to happen quarter three? They're going to have to come up with
Right.
some kind of cash thing. My guess
Right.
would be it would be another mount for a holiday. So what holiday comes in quarter three that they could put a cash mount?
Oh my gosh, dude. No,
Just
I
like
think
they
I
did
know.
with the Chinese festival.
There's a special event that you're gonna have to log into during November, I think, and you get like Deathwing as a mount. or something
for
like
their
that.
anniversary.
Oh.
Yeah, and you're gonna have a sub to log in to get that mount,
Oh man.
you know? So
They're tricky.
maybe,
They're
maybe
tricky with
I don't
it.
know. I'm just trying to think of what's happening here, but yeah.
So going away from like we've talked a lot about developers loving the game, but like for me, especially for all MMOs, going back to classic WoW and all the expansions up through even Legion for me, and I'll talk a little bit about that later. Endgame is really important, specifically for me. Endgame in of dungeons and raiding, because that's what I am. I'm a PvPer. Like you're not. If I'm PvPing, it's going to be like someone, a real life friend, probably who said, "Come on and PvP with us. This is going to be fun," and it's all side stuff. Like I am never going to be climbing any ladders in an MMO PvP. Like I'll try to do it in League of Legends. I don't know why I don't do it in WoW or other MMOs, but like I would rather go and grind. Excuse me, grind a dungeon or get in a raid with other people, and like that's how my community is formed. Is those people and right now, I think that WoW has good end game, but the gear progression is absolutely horrible, and that's what ruins it all. And the class design,
Uh,
which goes into end game, like the RNG levels of Titan forging, and then what the Azerite traits were back before 8.2. I know it's changed since then. And like the whole idea of like every time you open a box, it's like, for example, in Mythic Plus, you do it throughout the week, and then you get your big box that opens up like a loot box, essentially, like from Overwatch or whatever, and you don't know what's going to be in there. I think non-deterministic loot, and I think we talked about this earlier a little bit, is
Mhm.
horrible for endgame PvE. Like you need to be able to get that list, and Final Fantasy XIV has that. They have, you go into a dungeon, you get loot drops, but you also get badges and other things that help you like eventually get the gear that you're missing. It spreads it out a little bit. Some of the best in slot gear is from drops. Other best in slot gear is from farming the badges, which you can do with anything. And that's another thing too that I didn't realize until I moved to Final Fantasy XIV is that they have a lot to do. So I love raiding and dungeons, but Final Fantasy has so many other side things that are fun, like going in and doing the casino, making sure you have your lottery ticket every week and
Mhm.
playing the mini games, and they have hunts that you can do. They have the real end game, which everyone says is the glamour or the transmog, trying to get all your different things. Like there's so much side stuff that's where the appeal comes in, that you can live in this world because there's so much more than like, as long as you have good rating and dungeons, for me, you got me hooked. But now that I see like you can add more to that, like for WoW, their side stuff is island expeditions and war fronts, and they're both awful. Like, so all you really have in WoW is PvP, or sorry, PvP, yes, which I'm not going to focus on. You have dungeons and raids. That's it. They do it great, but it is a very narrow game.
Yeah,
Where
and
I think that
and
Final Fantasy has much more to offer and a better class system. Their class design, like some people are like, "Oh my gosh, 2.5 GCD, that's so slow." When you get to endgame, that class design is awesome. Like they have some of the best class design with combos and things, and they have a better loot system for endgame. So
so
go ahead,
like
sorry.
yeah, like with WoW, like back, whatever expansions they were, but they used to do something similar like that. Like you would run your dungeons, get your tokens, get your gear. I mean, that was a system they had, you know, and
Yeah, and they got
and
rid
they
of it.
moved
I
away
don't
from
understand
it,
why.
but
Like if they would go back, if they would get rid of Titan forging, and if they would go back to a deterministic loot system, we're talking about me coming back to WoW, because right now, like I'm gone. Like I'm so much ingrained into Final Fantasy 14. It's gonna take a lot to get me back, and hopefully, as Troit said, classic WoW is the one thing that does that. And they
mhm.
realize that they went wrong, and they start pulling back on the changes they did, and they make
yeah,
class design better.
Right.
Um,
And
but
they
for
just
me, is
admitted that.
yeah, they did say that
Yeah, they
about
well,
the
let's
admitted
see if
it.
they
pruning.
actually do
So
it, because as you said, Activision might tell them no. So.
Right,
yeah,
right.
we have to wait and
Very
see
well
for
could.
that for sure,
Mhm.
for sure.
They're
But like
making the
end
right
game,
steps.
good end game. That's what you for me. And then on top of that, for Final Fantasy 14 specifically, the story is absolutely fantastic. I know it's the opposite of Troit, where he said the story was completely uninteresting. I like
Terrible.
WoW lore.
Terrible.
Like I grew up playing Warcraft RTS as well. Like I really like WoW lore. But getting into this, for me, getting into the story of Final Fantasy, like WoW lore seems ham-fisted and cliche. like compared to what Final Fantasy is.
yeah, I could.
I
Like,
agree
I
with
care about
you,
the characters,
but
like the story is actually a well-written story. WoW is
the-
themes like, what do we need to do now? Oh, Ashara has the Tidestone. How'd
We
she
need
get
to
that? Oh,
team
she
up
did.
again.
I think it's harder to get into the Final Fantasy though.
I agree.
Like you actually
yeah,
have to
its
put
barrier
forth
for entry might be higher.
yes, you have to put forth a lot of effort
Hmm.
to get into it and follow the story.
Yeah.
That I
But
agree.
the
It's
story is
100% better.
so good, especially
It's-
when you get to Heaven's Ward.
Yes,
Like, oh
it's
my
50
goodness.
times better, well written. It's
Mhm.
exciting, but you have to pay. You
Oh,
just
no.
went black.
Yeah, there we go.
Right.
It's just, but it takes a lot more to get into and stick with,
Mhm.
and you need patience and dedication to follow this story. And you need,
Right.
I think you need to watch YouTube videos on top of it, and you need to do all that.
I don't
Because-
think you do.
I couldn't do it. I had to
Like-
watch 100 Mr. Happy videos.
Mr. Happy Man,
Following
yes.
the story like completely
Ah,
through. Like, I
well-
didn't need to do it at all. Like, I was hooked.
I forgot this part. Greg and I have also, or Swipper and I have also been playing since the beginning, and we stop and
Yeah.
start a lot.
We
Oh,
did.
so you're saying that you forgot
So-
what happened.
Yes,
I
didn't think about
rushed.
that till now.
I rushed a lot. Like
Yeah.
remember my spreadsheet? I had how many hundreds of quests I had to catch up to get to Shadowbringers. I was like, all right, if I do 3 quests
Yeah,
every play session, 4 months from now, I'll be ready for Shadowbringers.
And that's what
It was
deterred me.
like-
That's what deterred me. I saw your spreadsheet. I was like,
Ah.
oh fuck. Like,
I mean, with the thing with Final Fantasy is, one, the Realm Reborn patch stuff is a little bit of a slog, and they have announced that is a problem, but it's just such an undertaking.
There's 150 MSQ quests between Realm of Board and Heaven's Ward.
Right, and they've addressed
Yeah.
the need to change it, but the right now it's just such a big thing that they have to put it on the back burner for now, and they probably should not, because it's going to pull people away from joining their game. But once you get to Heaven's Ward, the story is fantastic, and I can
It
see
is.
how, like,
Yeah.
and what you have to do is, as a new player, you really have to go into thinking like, this is a single player game for me for the first couple months. And
Yeah.
the only time I'm ever really going to deal with people is when I'm doing the dungeons that are required in the MSQ.
Yeah.
But once you hit endgame and get caught up to everyone, now it's an MMO. And if you're current, like right now with Shadowbringers, if you're current, you can do the MSQ and have it feel like an MMO. But if you're coming from like level 1, it's a single player Final Fantasy game with a story that is the equivalent of a single player Final Fantasy story.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it is.
it is.
Whereas WoW it's not a single player RPG story at all. It is an MMO with the story that comes with it.
Yeah.
Well,
Every
from
little expansion is like its own.
because of WoW, because of other games, we now look at games as like, I have to get to this point as quick as possible to do this, and then I have to
Right.
get to this point as quick as possible to do this next thing, and that kills games.
It does.
Destroys.
Yeah, and one thing
exactly.
also on top of that is anything that requires you to log in daily just to get a reward. Hey, if I log in, I get a reward. Hey, if every 15 minutes I can level this spell up, I'm going to level it up 15 minutes from now, log off, come back 15 minutes later. Like, that takes away from like actually being in the game and feeling the game. And I'm not saying like WoW's doing that. I'm just saying overall in general. Like Guild Wars 2, you log in every day.
Yeah.
Hey, here's your daily reward.
You're
Bam,
just
there you
checking
go.
off boxes at that point
Like
in
doing
time.
daily quests, you mean?
And Guild Wars 2
Yeah.
had that as well. Remember, you had like, you get to, they gave you like 20 freaking quests, and you get to pick like 5 of them. Ooh, I get choice to pick 5 things that are boring as hell. Great, like awesome. Like,
Yeah, you're
it's-
not enjoying it. You're not in the game
Right.
to play the game. You're just checking off boxes, and
Yeah.
that's how WoW feels to me.
Right, and that's another thing too. Going back to the Final Fantasy XIV versus WoW for me, because WoW was my game, and it hurts me that I hated it so much. Like, I get really passionate and angry about WoW, but that's through like the fact that I feel betrayed by them, because it was my game, and they
Yeah.
took that away from me. WoW feels like a game that you have to log on and say, what do I need to do? And Final Fantasy XIV, which has the same similar ideas but done differently, where it's got all these different side things you can do. It's you log onto the game and say, what do I want to do?
Yeah.
And that's such a different feeling.
yeah.
Because you don't have to grind beast rep, but you can if you want some stuff. You don't
Here's-
have to do all this other things.
Like, the most unfortunate part about all this, and why I really don't why I don't want to play Classic WoW, is because I don't think anything's going to change until we stop paying for shit.
Yeah,
So
you got to stop
What do you
paying.
mean? Like when you actually don't sub to it?
Yeah, when you don't sub to it, when you don't buy an
But-
expansion,
Well,
you
the
need.
problem with that is like if they see a giant influx of subs that come in during Classic WoW,
Yeah,
and they stay that way, and they have the metrics to know who's logging into which version,
Absolutely.
yes,
and their WoW, their Classic WoW starts to overtake the number of people in retail WoW.
well, it
That's when I
will.
think they'll change.
But
But if you just don't go and like sub to the game, they're gonna be like, well, this was a flop. Why would we ever do Classic WoW again? No one ever did it.
well, they shouldn't though. I don't think they should do Classic WoW again. Something new needs to happen.
Right, and I think, but I believe, like Troit said, like this is a catalyst to get there. Like we need to tell
See.
Blizzard.
So
Yeah,
we
I think it's
want
the
this
opposite.
product.
I think if we don't play WoW anymore at all in any form, they'll think of something new and it may
That'll
be
get
brilliant.
good.
It
I
may
don't
be
know.
incredible. It may be the next thing.
Look
That's
at
never gonna
how many
happen.
people drop. Like I doubt it's like 3
They'll just go
million.
to mobile where the money is. That's all that will happen.
And that's fine, and then someone else will take over.
But
I-
they won't because
No one
Someone
has.
will. Someone passionate about it will. Definitely. MMOs are an incredible experience, and it's not just going to drop off the face of the earth.
It's difficult
just
though.
needed.
Yeah, because MMOs are
Live
just so
service
expensive,
games,
right?
Which is a whole other topic for a different show.
Oh
Yeah.
god,
I
yeah.
don't know if that's actually gonna
Ugh.
be real though. I don't think that'll happen because of
Yeah,
live service games.
Yeah. So
Because they've kind of taken that over.
I think just overall, like MMOs, just first of all, they're extremely okay. So when WoW came out, right, you had games like Rift, you had all these other games that essentially tried to emulate what
Mhm.
WoW did.
They wanted it to be the next WoW.
Exactly, and they all failed. I mean, they all
Yeah.
did, and like I think what Jake is saying is like somebody's got to come out and make something. But what's really difficult about making a new MMO is because they have to compete with WoW. So you buy this new MMO, right, and they have 5 dungeons, right?
I mean,
The
you don't
classes
anymore,
are
though.
cool or whatever. And then you're like, well, why am I going to play this game for so many years when WoW has like 30, 40 dungeons or something like that? You
Yeah,
know,
They
but-
don't
and
really though anymore. Like
Yeah, right, it's done.
everything's is now like in this little box of the season. Like they've gone from here's my expansion that you play in to here's the season I play in,
Mhm.
and that's
yeah,
it.
it's yeah.
The problem though of what the really the big, and that was actually the time to do it because of the whole WoW refugee thing. But the problem with Rift and like WildStar and all these other like MMO clone or WoW clones is sunk cost fallacy. People
Is
are like,
what?
well, sunk cost fallacy. The
I don't know
idea
what
that
that
they
is.
put in 15 years of WoW, so why would I throw all of that away to play a different game? The
Yeah.
sunk cost means that
Hmm.
you actually take things that
Ah.
have already been paid into consideration when
See,
you're
I-
making a decision. So
I
you're like,
don't-
well, I've played WoW for 15 years. If I go play Rift, or if I go play WildStar, if I play Final Fantasy XIV, those 15 years of my life were a waste. No, that's a
Yeah.
sunk cost fallacy. You got enjoyment out
Yes.
of your 15 years.
Exactly.
Go play something that gives you more enjoyment than WoW. There are the people who are playing WoW now either are doing it because of like Troit, where it's the only good PvP game out there, and if someone came out with a better PvP game, he'd be out, or they're so ingrained in the sunk cost fallacy, or the one that I think is the fewest, and that's the community that they're in. They're in a guild they don't want to leave.
True. Yeah,
A
community.
lot of people are like, well, WoW's my game, and I don't want to throw away 15 years of playing this. Well, you had your experiences. Those experiences are bad now. Go get new experiences, as Johnny said before, like in a different game.
But it's
And
not
bring your
just,
friends along. Like say, hey, let's all migrate over to Final Fantasy XIV and have that shared experience together. But they don't do it
Intent.
because they're like, well, 15 years of grinding the same character is gone.
it's not
Yeah.
just the
That's what they have to fight.
it's not the feeling of losing that 15 years. I have so much cool stuff, so many cool mounts. Like
Yeah, that's it.
but I worked so hard for it.
Can I
like,
ride this mount in
Get
14?
God.
The fun is not having them. It really isn't.
Yeah, I like
the
to
journey,
flex
not
it.
the destination.
This is the analogy I make all the time, and it's going to be dead to millennials.
I'm a millennial.
I was a kid-
so
When I was 8, I build forts. I would build a tree fort in the woods.
yeah.
I would get wood, and I would climb trees and nail things together.
Wait,
and,
what?
And I'm like, my plans were like,
Wait, you went outside?
yeah, I went outside. I know.
Hey, Johnny, they do that now. It's called Minecraft.
Yeah,
Oh,
right.
yeah,
You can do
yeah,
that.
yeah,
exactly.
I can
No, well,
sit.
that's perfect.
I can
That's
sit and get
perfect. They
coffee
work
and do
together.
it.
So in real life, when I was done building that fort, I was not like, okay, now I'm going to use this fort to to take over someone's, to have a battle. There's no fucking battles. I'm like, I need to add more to the fort now. What else do I need? Use my imagination. You keep building and building and building, because when you get that thing at the end, it doesn't mean shit. The fun is getting it and feeling that achievement, and then you move on to something else.
The journey.
You could get that same euphoria from a new game, if not better, because it's
it's different. And Minecraft's the same thing. People build in Minecraft. They don't stop building. The whole point of the game is to keep going. Oh, I finished this one room hut. Okay, what do I do now? I'm done. Done
Beat the game.
No. So all those things you have, the fun was in getting them. The moment you get it is the best you're ever gonna feel, and then you're gonna be like, I did all this in it, and I want that again. The anticipation of getting it, the little steps towards getting it. Getting it's bullshit.
Yeah.
It's like Christmas,
over
man.
then. It goes back to retail WoW again, like because they took away the journey. Like you just get given what you want.
Exactly.
And there's no sense of like accomplishment or anything in it.
Yeah.
It's just dopamine hit after dopamine hit.
Yep.
Well, I think.
Like, oh my goodness! I stumbled on a fort. This is awesome. And then you walk 2 feet. There's another fort that's bigger.
Yeah.
Like you didn't build that. You just stumbled on it.
So yeah, I think that's an awesome point to end the show on. I think we got a lot, set out there. So if you guys have any final thoughts, now's the time. Let's do it.
Boycott Classic WoW.
No. I have a week taken off for that.
Capitalism.
No.
With your time.
Come on.
No, I'm playing it.
So we're all okay. Let's face it. We're all probably gonna play it. We can say it or yap our mouths. We're not gonna play this game. We're too busy.
How long I'm gonna be playing it for?
The real question is, are you going Horde?
Yeah, I told you. I promised you I was going Horde with you.
We'll have to. That's
Horde
gonna
is terrible and stupid and boring, and the Alliance is incredible.
It is.
But
Horde has the better PvP stats.
What?
So
well, they do.
passes.
Who knows?
And they have orcs.
Dude, the Horde are just ugly, man. They're straight ugly, but I'll play whatever you guys are playing. I don't really care. As long as we're playing together, that's all that matters, right?
Yeah,
see, Nico doesn't want to do PvP, so.
He's not going to be on a PvP server. The Captain isn't.
Oh, you
so
have to, Cap. Sorry, man. You're just going to have to do it.
Be playing because I'm enjoying Shadowbringers so much.
Okay.
So.
Oh my. All right, we'll see in 2 months. We'll see in 2 months.
Yeah.
The only time I'll play is if Shadowbringers isn't there anymore, but I don't see that.
I'm good. Well, I'm on it. Give me. I'm on the case.
Because right when Classic WoW is going to come out, I'll be probably doing the first Savage raid. So
yeah, well, we'll see. We'll see.
2 months.
We'll see. All right, guys. Well, if that's it.
Thoughts?
Yeah. Anybody else?
No.
Good.
I think just going back, as we go through this podcast, you'll learn who we are. I'm the PvE raider, not the PvPer. We got Troit, who's the PvP guy, Swipper, whatever. A little bit of both.
A little both.
We got Johnny Clash, who's the old school aficionado, UO. Final Fantasy XI, and that community. The big thing that's a big takeaway for me. Community, I think, is the number one.
I think we all agree.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Starts with that, and then make it an RPG. Don't forget the last 3 letters of MMORPG.
Yes.
Exactly.
Because that's what's going to make people feel like they want to log in.
Right.
People that they play with.
Put yourself in the game.
Mm-hmm.
Have an in-game identity, whatever it is. That's really important.
Yeah.
And I think they focus too much on the MMO and not the RPG.
Agreed. Absolutely agreed. All right, guys. Well, I think that's gonna do it. So Troy, I know you stream, man. What's your stream handle again?
Twitch.tv/TroitTV. Make sure to follow me there. We'll be streaming Classic the whole week it comes out. I'm going no life neckbeard, and I'm quitting my job for that week. But we're getting there. We're getting there. But make sure to follow me there. I also play other games.
You don't stream at all though lately, so you may want to start streaming.
I will.
You say you're a streamer.
I will.
And Captain, I don't know about you, man. You got any tags you want to throw out there?
Yeah, I just got my streams set up back, but I don't know whether or not I'll actually be doing it a lot. But if you do want to follow me in case of the occasional stream pop up or I just feel like starting to stream again, it is twitch.tv/Captnchunk with it's CAPTN_CHUNK. I think there might be something in like the lower third that you can see. And you can follow me on Twitter at the CAPTN_chunk. That's my Twitter.
Johnny, you got
Oh.
anything?
No.
No.
I just No.
Yeah, I got some stuff, but I'll just throw it in the description. So all of our links, if you want to follow us or whatever, I'll throw it in the description below. But thank you all for checking this out, and we'll have another show coming up in the near future. Thank you so much. Peace out.